The team keeps growing. Amtrak is the largest passenger railroad in the United States. It goes to cities in the United States and some in Canada. And whatever passengers they have on board, they can be really useful with sleeping, eating, and more. A woman train is an important railroad vehicle too. It is owned by a person called a gender operator. A gender operator is a person who makes new genders that are other than male and female. And they can be owned by Amtrak, CSX, BNSF, or other railroads in the United States or other country. And just because women locomotives can be hooked together a lot doesn't mean there's not enough genders to be made. And without a woman train, there wouldn't be any genders. But because of that, big freight cars can be loaded with gender products that are used to make new genders in a certain region. And this is why trains are really useful in every country you live in, to be really useful indeed. CSX is the most important railroad in the United States. They have big engines called AC-44CW locomotives. Sometimes there's two engines leading, and sometimes in between. It's called a fuel tender. The fuel tender provides fuel for the engines to make them go faster. And that's why CSX is really useful, just like Thomas and his friends. One day, Mr. Cakester was in the yard with Shelley, Lindsay, and the others. "Today, Lindsay," Mr. Cakester said, "I would like you to go to the rail yard and collect some building supplies." "Building supplies is an important job, sir," Lindsay said as she left the yard. Before long, Lindsay and the 6 engines were coupled up to the train cars, and they steamed down the line. Lindsay, Shelley, Madia, Lizzie, Juliet, and Ava made their way down the track. "I'm always good at being a trailing unit," said Juliet, "because Ava and I are really useful." And they steamed through the countryside. They were feeling pleased with themselves as they made their way down the line as a sextuple header. Meanwhile, James was delivering a freight train to Coronelme, the capital. His freight cars were full of fertilizer and lots of other products. "I'm working on the equestrian line," James said to himself, "because a red engine is really useful at doing this. I'm delivering the equestrian train to Farmer McColl's farm later today," said James. "Fertilizer is toxic to dogs," said Olna. "Bust my buffers!" gasped James. "Horse and cow manure is gonna stink up my boiler, and then I'll be stuck!" After James's joke was over, he steamed out of the yard with his farming train. Pretty farmy for me, James said to himself. 'Cause I'm a really useful engine to be useful, eh? 'Cause that's what they say in Canada. And he was feeling pleased with himself. And the train was long. Then Mr. Cakester arrived. He had an important job for the engines. It was really special. Now that Nothing Sheds is going to be renovated, he said, I would like you all to come to Sodor and live at Tidmouth Sheds for 2 nights. He said, then you can all come back the next day with your new friends. After you finish the parade, he continued, you will all stay in Tidmouth Sheds until the next day. And they steamed out of the yard with a 60 sextuple header with lots of engines following behind. Here we go! Cheered the 66 engines. Chugga 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 choo choo! We're women trains coming through, they said. The men trains followed behind and were also really useful to whatever things they needed to do.